Hi, this is Dave and welcome to the Table, a series of videos where I review and discuss various board and card games, looking at them from a family perspective. Today we're going to be taking a look at Trade Fleet by Ice Pack Games. Trade Fleet is a 2 to 5 player strategic card game set in the golden age of sail, where you are a trader visiting various ports, trading in your goods for gold. Now the waters may be profitable, but they're also dangerous. Be careful and watch out for the pirates or getting lost. Let's take a look at this game and how it's played, and I'll come back and I'll give you my thoughts. Okay, when you open up Trade Fleet, there's going to be a deck of cards that come inside, and what I've done here is I've kind of set up a sampling of the different types of cards that come in the game. The first type of cards are your goods cards, which are along the top row, and that's rum, tobacco, silk, hemp, and cacao. Those are the types of goods that during the game you will be trading them into various ports to collect gold. In the next row here are what's called happenings cards, and they're different types of events or encounters that come into play that will either benefit you as a player, or you can play on another player and give them that kind of take that aspect to the game. And finally, down at the bottom here is a sampling of the different types of ports that you will be able to visit and trade in your goods for gold. And each of the ports, they pay different amounts of gold for each of the goods, so they're not all of the same. In addition, there will also be a 2-card rule packet that will explain how to play the game, and then also there are these double-sided happening card clarification cards that you can use as a reference that will explain these cards in the middle in a little bit greater detail. Okay, let me set up the game and I'll show you how it's played. Okay, I have gone ahead and I've set up Trade Fleet for a 3-player game, and what I have done is I shuffled up the deck and I dealt 5 cards to each player, and they'll be kept secret. For the purpose of this video, for players 2 and 3, I have placed their cards face up on the table so you can see what they have in their hand. And here's our opening hand right here. We have Smuggle, which is a happenings card. We have Rum, which is a goods card. We have Panama, which is a port card, and we have 2 Silk, which are also goods cards. On our turn, we have 3 available actions that we could take. The first one is we can either play a port or happenings card. When we play a port card, we'll play it in front of us, and at any time, you as a player can only have 1 port card and play it in front of you. What you will do later on is be able to sell goods at that port or trade them in for gold. And if you have a port card in play and you don't necessarily like that one, maybe there's something that's come along, that a better port that's paying better, you could play the new port card and then discard the old one. So, and when I talk about having only 1 port card in front of you, that's only in front of you, so each player could have their own ports that they're trying to visit. The second action that you could take is to play a happenings card, and there's several different ones, and each card is explained a little bit more on the happenings clarification card. But what you can do is you can play one of those. For example, here player 3 has an island card, and on their turn what they would be able to do is they would be able to play that, and that island says collect 3 gold, and we'd be able to collect 3 gold. The other option that you can do is you could trade in goods at a port for gold. So what you would do is you would turn in as many good cards that you wanted that turn in at that port and collect gold. And then those cards and the port card would all be discarded. And then your final action, what you can do is you could discard 2 or 3 cards in the discard pile. And so at the end of your turn, what you will do is you will draw your cards back up till you have a hand of 5 cards. So let me show you a sample of how the game is played. On our turn, we will be the first player, and what we will do is we will play a port card. So I'll play Panama in front of us. Once I have played a card at the end of my turn, I will draw back up to 5 cards. So I have drawn another good card. Player 2 will also play a port card here. They play Gibraltar, and they will draw a card back up to 5. And the third player will also open with a port card here with Barbados. and they draw back up. On my turn, if I look, Panama is paying pretty decent for silk. So what I'm going to do on my turn here is I am going to trade in 2 silk. And what I will do is the silk is paying 2 gold. Now, once I trade in more than 1 good, it will pay 1 gold less for each one afterwards. So, but never less than 1 gold. So for example, this silk right here, the first one I will get 2 gold, and the second one I'll only get 1 gold. So I'm going to have a total of 3 gold coming in. And if you notice on the table, there's no gold, but this is how this game is played. We discard these 3 cards to the discard pile. In order to collect gold, it's taken in the form of cards, which will come from the discard pile first. So we have 3 gold coming, so we'll go 1, 2, 3. We will take these 3 cards and we'll put them off to the side, and that's how we consider, or how we figure all of our gold. And then at the end of my turn, I'll draw it back up to 2 cards. At any time when you go to collect gold and there's not enough cards in the discard pile, you will draw off the draw pile instead. Now I want to show you how some of these happening cards work here. And so player number 2 is going to play a happenings card here. They're going to play a card called Lost. It can be cause any player to lose their next turn. So we're going to play Lost on player number 3. So player number 3 will now lose their turn, and this will go into the discard pile and they'll draw back up. And we will continue to go around. This is going to continue throughout the game until we have gone through and there are no more cards to be drawn for gold. That will trigger the end of the game, and then the players will in turn, once that triggers the end, they will continue to try and sell goods until they have nothing else that they can sell, and then they will add up all of their gold, and whoever has the most gold wins the game. Okay, let's talk about Trade Fleet from Ice Pack Games. This is a fun, enjoyable game. It's very light in strategy, so it's nothing really heavy. First of all, I want to say that on this, I really like the artwork a lot. The background art is kind of like this burnt up kind of parchment, sort of like a old treasure map aspect. And it kind of gives it kind of like that Pirates of the Caribbean feel. Even though this is not a pirate game, it's a trading game, it kind of gives it that feel. And then also the real life artwork, pictures of all the different goods to trade in, so you get a feel of what's going on. So I really like the artwork. It's very clear. The only drawback on the artwork is that the font on the happenings cards is a little bit difficult to read at a quick glance. So if you look at it, it's kind of blends in a little bit, but after a while when you play and you know what the cards do, then it doesn't really make a whole lot of difference. So that's the only drawback that I have on the artwork, is the font. The pictures and everything else, it's great. Gameplay is very light and it's very quick. So on your turn, a lot of times you're moving along pretty quickly. You're looking and seeing what's going on, and a lot of times you'll anticipate what your next move is going to be. The other mechanic that I do like in this game that makes it kind of unique is how you collect gold. And it reminds me of San Juan, but only in reverse. So you are drawing, all of the time you're using your cards as gold. So you're slowly depleting the draw pile, and you end up playing until there's no cards left to draw. So that's also a nice mechanic of how making the game only have a certain amount of time to play. It doesn't go on and on forever. So I like that. If I look at this game from a family perspective, there are quite a number of benefits that this game itself adds to it. Number one is being able to experience a little bit of what it was like during the Golden Age of sail, and the importance of trading and how valuable these goods are. And if you look in the game, all the different types of goods, they were really valuable commodities, especially silk. Typically during the game, the silk collects the most. But so if you're playing this game, you can kind of use it in history or social studies, and it really brings to light those types of goods that were important at that time. Also, if you look at the cards, if you look at the port cards, it's really nice to see the variation in payment from the ports, and so that kind of brings to light a little bit of supply and demand. And certain areas, if they're going to be paying more, there's not going to be as much in supply, and the demand is very high, and vice versa. There may be other areas where the demand may not be so high, and so they're not going to pay as much. So it's really, really nice with the supply and demand aspect of the card game. Overall, when you bring it all together, when it comes down to the gameplay, it says 2 to 5 players. Me personally, I don't care for this game with 2 players. It's just too much back and forth, and I don't like the balance with the happenings cards, because it seems like a lot of times you're just playing a lot of the happenings cards, and it's more like take that, take that, take that. And it becomes more about what can I do to damage my opponent instead of strategically trying to collect more of the gold. I like the game with 4 players. That gives it enough variety where there's enough going on where you can equally distribute how the happenings cards are going to happen, how they're going to take place. Some, you're not only going to be playing them on one player. You have different people that things can happen to. So I like the game more around 4 players. 5 players is probably really good too. I did not play it with 5 players. I played with 2, 3, and 4 players. So overall, I like this game. It's light enough that you can enjoy it, and there's some strategy, but it's not too heavy that younger players wouldn't be able to pick up on this. So I like this game. It's going to be sticking around, and it will be making it to my table quite a bit. So if you want to engage in some trading during the golden age of sale, and you want to see how much gold you can make for your hemp or silk or tobacco or rum, pick yourself up a copy of Trade Fleet and start exploring and start trading. Alright, that's it for now, and join me again next time when we look at another game and see if we can make it to the table.